Okay, ready? Yes. Today we are going to talk about global startup trends and the future outlook. So, okay. How do we do that? I am Takao. Is that showing on the screen? It doesn't, does it? Right, okay, let's do the self-intro, shall we? And today, who is here? I want to know who is here, audience. So can you show your hands? So if you are from a large company or enterprise, show your hands. If you are startup, show your hands. Startup company, okay, I can see few hands. From public sector, show your hands. Okay, we can see many. Students. Okay, thank you. Other. Right. Thank you. So later, I wish to have some QA session, if we could. So anyway, let's get started. So can we use a slide? Okay, thank you. So global startup trends and the future outlook. This is the title of this session. It's quite grandiose, but I think you are entitled to talk about this big theme. So I like to pick some brain from you. So I want to do some self-introduction. Saito-san, can you start? Good morning. I'm Saito from Sozo Venture. Sozo Ventures is a company who started in Silicon Valley. And I work at Tokyo office of this company. So we support overseas startup company coming to Japan. And we have running with a fund, operates fund. And innovation company they are the main target for the fund or support. And I also work with a PR, building relationship with company. I just joined Sozo last year, and I spent 21 years in UFJ. And 2025, I spent 5 years in Silicon Valley, and I learned so much about fintech, finance industry. So that's my background. So on the next page, this is Sozo Venture, my company. And let me just touch upon briefly about this company. We started in 2012. We were the small company who used Twitter, and then we're trying to find what type of support is adequate for the company who is coming to Japan. And we supported marketing activity as well. So the Twitter, we receive. So we were supposed to pay back for the Twitter because they helped us to contact with a new company. And then fund size became bigger and bigger. And now we have 4 here. So we have never-ending policy, startup company, and value proposition for the startup company. That's what we see dear. So this is our approach, and it has not been changed. So I'm showing some logo here. These are the company we are working with together. Square and the data analysis. Palantir, can you see the name Palantir? They have high technological powers. They do some virtual funding. And in each industry, each field, they are the company who is aiming to become global. And this company has high potential. That's why we are working together with them. So this is our business style. And financial return, that is another important element. Thank you. Nice to meeting you. This is a great portfolio that you have here. Right. Okay, moving on. So Hara-san, good to see you. I'm from Nordic Ninja VC. I'm managing partner. You can see my background here, but I think I like to talk to you what we are doing, what company we are. Starting in 2017, what market is available to make investments? And what makes financial sense for you to investment? So Silicon Valley and Southeast Asia, Israel, and including Europe, we are quite active in everywhere. But talking about Europe, so we are the only Japanese VC active in Europe. And in 2019, we started this fund, special fund, and then so second fund launched this summer. In the next slide, this will give you more information. So we had three. So we wanted to connect Europe and Japan. From the start, I spent 5 years in Finland. Now, we have site in the United Kingdom as well, and so I'm back and forth, Japan and Finland and the UK. As for funding, just touch bases. The funding, I think most hot spot is Europe, especially UK. So UK is actually the target for our funding. So in the photograph, for the startup company like to try out in the globe, and we are here to support you. So day one, the fund is created, half Japanese, half Europe. That was our team. And the 5 people from 5 out of 11 are Japanese staff. So we are linking Europe and Japan together. And we are gaining partnership, meaning fund, raising fund there. So we like to be the platform to provide support for those companies. So now we are thinking about digital infrastructure and sustainable transformation. These are two target areas. In Europe, it's all about CO2 reduction. And they are walking ahead, probably 2 or 3 years, and they are quite good at making up regulations and rules, yeah? So that's we don't want to miss this area. So that's quite important, key area for us as well. Thank you.
Next. So Hiroki-san, please go ahead. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hirota from Mitsubishi UFJ Innovation Partners. So Mitsubishi UFJ Innovation Partners is very long, so that's why we call our company as MUIP. In 2009, actually our company doesn't have a long history, and so far we have supported many companies. So I was assumed current position this January. I was mainly in charge of Asian countries. So in particular, I'm in charge of MUIP Garuda Fund. And before that, so Spiral Ventures. So I belong to Spiral Ventures based in Singapore. And so 8.5 years, I have supported startups in Southeast Asian countries. So our company has received money from entity belonging to Mitsubishi MUFG Group, and As for Garuda Fund, focusing on Indonesia, this is our focus. And in total, our total AUM is around 80 billion yen. And furthermore, we are supporting investment of other funds as well. And we have about 30 team members, mainly coming from the MUFG group. And we are looking for startups who is ready for the collaboration with our group companies. And the ticket size is around 5 billion yen for the emerging countries. So this is also about Southeast Asia. Why we are focusing on this area is that there are 4 banks or partner banks, and Guangxi Aritaya Bank in Thailand and Danamon Bank in Indonesia, and they are a kind of our subsidiaries. The other day, Nikkei Shimbun features our initiative, so some of you may be familiar with that. As you can see, so MUFG is focusing on this area. I believe that this is our second, so-called second mother market. And going forward, we are willing to invest in this area as well. Thank you very much. So governance-wise, I have a question to you later. So lastly, I'm a moderator for today. My name is Takao. Today, I'm here as the director of FinTech Association. And I belong to funds, a company, so funding company as well. And this is an online marketplace. And the individual investor invests to our company. And we are a kind of player of debt fund today. So you are from a VC and equity field. That's why I like to ask a lot of things from the perspective of debt finance to you about your field. I myself, I'm from Sakai City, Osaka. So when I talk about the relationship with Osaka, is that I am a member of a Global Finance City Osaka Committee, and also FinTech Association of Japan since this September established a branch office in Osaka so that we can cooperate and support the city to make the city become the global financial city. So from that perspective, I like to learn a lot from all of you as well. So let me now move on to the main topic for this session. I'm afraid that so I should introduce FinTech Association of Japan. So we have membership of 450 companies and 120 to 30 venture membership, and the other remaining numbers are from private companies. If you have any interest in our association, please contact me offline. Now, let me move on to the topic for today. So some of you mentioned a part of the answer for this question, and Silicon Valley and Europe and Asia. So in each region, so I'd like to ask you about the startups and VC ecosystem in each region. So first of all, about Silicon Valley, I'd like to ask this question to Saito-san first. So the ecosystem in Silicon Valley, I believe that some of you are familiar with this ecosystem. So when we talk about the startup ecosystem, the university is playing a key role. So Stanford University, UC Berkeley, and there are many universities who are a big player in this ecosystem. And also we have accelerators there, and a unique program is going on. And there is an atmosphere that university-launched startups should be nurtured. And then, so there are so many venture capitals, and VC support these startups. Furthermore, and the financial institutions also support startups. And furthermore, so there are so many giant tech companies based in Silicon Valley, and graduate from startups moved to big companies and start collaboration with startups. And also, there are many opportunities for startups to exit. So there are so many players in this ecosystem, including the surrounding bonds. And by striking a balance, they are trying to make a good balance, a good atmosphere. I think this is one of the big characteristics. What I mentioned now is that so oligopoly is going on in Silicon Valley. In other words, as for Silicon Valley, there are over about 5,000 VCs there that acquire. However, maybe 30 to 35 big VC companies grabs very lucrative deals. In that sense, there are so many VCs there, but only a limited number of big players takes the lion's share. So active startups are very good at acquiring funds from big VCs. Before the COVID-19, and $5 million, $10 million are shared among startups. However, currently the amount is doubled, and 2 VCs acquire such a vast amount of money to go furthermore. I don't know what is happening in other regions, but in that sense, in Silicon Valley, the competition is very severe. And an inner circle, how to enter into inner circle of ecosystem would be a key for VCs and startups. I think this is a point and characteristics of Silicon Valley ecosystem. Now, based on what he said, I'd like to ask 2 other peoples. I think there are some keywords he mentioned. Oligopoly is one of the keywords. In other words, so VC side is in a position to be selected as well. As for Sozo, you mentioned Twitter case. So supporting to enter into the Japanese market is a kind of can be a value proposition for you, and the power balance between VC and startups needs to be focused. And I'd like to ask you now. I'm afraid I don't know so much about Silicon Valley issue, but Southeast Asia, the opposite things happen. So although the area is growing, however, many companies suffer from lack of money, and many people try to gather their own experiences and knowledge to support local companies. Of course, some global accelerator from seed can make it by themselves. So in that sense, syndicate characteristics is very strong, and they are trying to grow together, all together. And in some cases, startups hesitate to contact me or as a big VCs. But so collaboration would be our key in this area. I think such a kind of willingness for collaboration is a very good opportunity, and also invest in such opportunities. And so, Hara-san, how about you? How do you think about that? So I'd like to tell you the size of market first. So startup investment amount totaled around 450 million yen, maybe around one-third of that of Japan. This is the market size. In that sense, Europe is one of the three major startup market. However, so we have big struggle. So in the U.S., Silicon Valley might lose its power. However, the U.S. as a whole, I think the power is still very strong, and the U.S. has a long history of startups. But the Southeast Asia and India, so they have very big market. But Europe has a big problem, such as aging society with fewer children and the shortage of talent. So European countries have to rely on immigrants, otherwise they will face short of talent. And we are facing energy issues and security issues and so on. And also European companies are not united at all. There is European Union, however, in reality, they are not united. And the fintech policy in each country is different from each other. And on the other hand, the UK is very strong. In the sense, market is not united in European countries at all. So therefore, and the born global is a kind of keyword there. That is an expected answer. So in Japan, so annual investment amount totals around 1 trillion yen. So maybe compared with Europe, 1/6, I think. There are too many information, so I'm thinking about appropriate approach. So you mentioned in Asia, they suffer from lack of money. Japan. So there are so many, too much dry power, but the later stage, they suffer from lack of money. Japanese VC, so we are in a position to be invested, but so there are not VC strong in the later stage. That's why debt finance can be activated. So I'm wondering what kind of characteristics do you have when it comes to the stage and phase? Well, as for growth money, so growth money tend to come from Europe. In Europe, valuation remained very high before the pandemic. Therefore, growth fund in the U.S. Try to enter and try to connect with European companies. So from day one, so many startups is looking for global markets. That's part of the reason why U.S. Fund so easily got into Europe. But the situation has been changing after the pandemic. The government tried to work hard to solve these issues. However, the investment or money is one of the issues in Silicon Valley. As Sohara-san mentioned, so even if startups is based in Silicon Valley, so investment side has a global view. So when startups grow to the stage just before late stage, they started to look for a global market, I think.
So including the Asia and in the transition, so in the framework of the regions, we are looking at that. So I think this may be the big situation. And Japanese startups, when they grow, including the Bushi, looking at the global issues, they need to raise funds and go up to the later stage. So we really need to combine this situation. And what I thought listening to you is Japanese startups. The challenges or the issues they're working on in Japan, tend to be the domestic Japanese issues. So we are talking about in order for the grow on a global basis, we are getting the global money. And startups and maybe expand the scope. Otherwise, they cannot access to such funding. So this is what I felt. And also the BD. So the Japanese specific issues, maybe the financial don't know about that. I think it's maybe the exceptional situation is Asia and the US. The Asia, although they are working on the local issues, however, the issues themselves are very big. So that's why the global is looking at that. So regarding the fundraising overview, so same as a global trend, the latest stage, we don't have much. And in the middle, it's slowing down, and also the early stage. In the Southeastern Asia, we are seeing the increase. And the latest is, as Sohara-san mentioned, the growth fund from the US and crossover funds, their existence is very strong. So some of the US are actually withdraw from that market. And at the seed stage, Southeast Asia the countries, regimes, we really need to look at that. And in 2010s, it's just not studied up this ecosystem. It's maybe the 10 years. It's one cycle. And the latest stage was 10 years. So after the COVID, the tech bubble started, and most of them are exited and are trying to raise funds. Or maybe they're using the pocket money, or maybe working together with already known investors. So the seed stage, we see a lot of volume. So that's the current situation. Thank you very much for sharing. So I think we can see a lot of contrast. So maybe moving on to the next theme. So we are looking at in each details. So each regions, the trend in the investment, and also the focus area. So there may be the Saito-san, what do you think? So the areas of focus and also the trend of the investment. So looking back to a year, so maybe this timing or maybe the last year, FTX. So there was a cryptocurrencies failure, and also this year, the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. So in March, so there are a lot of big issues happened. And for the past 1 to 2 years in the cryptocurrency, the platform are looking at the cryptocurrency, so including the share prices, it's recovering. Regarding the regulation, it's still in the process of recovering. However, it settles down, and including the venture net, the financial services, the Silicon Valleys, the JPMCs, First Republic, purchased the First Republic, including that we are actually recovering to the past situation. And as a startup environment, I think maybe the situation is stabilized. And this year, the AI, I think this is the focus and the highlight. And AI for the past 20 years has been said, however, that we couldn't collected enough data, and it was utilized in a small crisis. However, we got huge amount of data, and there are a lot of deliverables services for the AI. And including next year, it's going to be grow, and we are focusing on the kind of defensive side. That when there was an cryptocurrencies rise, and the startup companies and try to establish a compliance and money laundering to the tech. So the startup companies and supporting these areas grew. So in the area of AI, maybe for the next 1 to 2, maybe there are kind of intellectual property or the copyright issues. So from the defensive side, what kind of venture capital the startup is coming into that area? So I think this is very important area. So including the surrounding area of the AI, so we really need to look at the growth area. So this is what I'm thinking about. Thank you very much. We really need to we'd like to deep dive into your discussion. However, the AI, in Europe, AI, so they actually establish a code and also including the rule making. So I think it may be easier for them to deal with. So what do you think about you, Sohara-san, the AI? So what is the situation in the EU, the AI and the EU? So in Europe, I think that they are very much good at the rule making, and they actually establish the rule first and then apply the other companies to comply with that. And in the case of AI, this is true. And 5 years ago, compared to the US, the EU, the AI was very hot topics, and the UK DeepMind. So that is a famous case. And also you might be using the DeepL, the translation. So this is from Germany. And the AI application layer. So there was a kind of, the hot topics. And AI, right now, it's applied to different industries. However, for a lot of resources and also the money it's going, it's decarbonization. So this is pushing back, supported by the UK or the governments. So utilizing the rule making. So they are trying to create various rules. So they are actually competing with the US. And the digital war, the Europe actually lost the war. And this is their feelings. However, decarbonization, so decarbonization taxation was included, and also the emissions code. So they are strong. The Europe is strength. So they really need to promote these. So the carrot and the sticks, the Europe has both of them, and decarbonization is actually a hot topic in the Europe. Then climate tech is a wider in scope, but the green steel making is a hot topics, and also the nuclear fusion is very much hot topics as well. And in Russia, the energy and the security issues, we really need to think about that. So investment into the new energy is going to be accelerated. It's imperative. So thank you very much. And I'm very much interested in your story. And in the Europe, rule making, they are very much good at it. So I really feel that way. And from the background myself, I really feel that, yes, they are very much good at rule making. And also in the case of the UK, so they are actually the represented player of the freedom of action. However, the communications, the defense for specific industries, the MA for the government has the right to intervene into that industries, green tech and climate tech. So the government is actually moving that forward, these industries forward. So the intervention from the government, I think they are striking a good balance for that. Maybe compared to Japanese government, they actually intervene into the industry. However, they are actually putting an importance on the liberal democracy. And the U.S., they are right now, their government is led by the Democrats. However, the Republican is actually denying the environment, climate change. So the Europe can exert their own capability. And the U.S., they have an ample energies. In the case of the Europe, they are doing that as economic policies. However, climate tech has come into the play because they are actually fearing of the energy scarcity. So, and also the citizens also have an agreement on that. So I think the approach from the regulations, I think they are good at it. And the fintech digital banking area, so they took the lead, and actually the US followed that trend. Yes. So the John Doerr from the Silicon Valley, Silicon Valley is very good. So he said it's away from the Washington, so that this DC. That's why. So the intervention from the political people, they are very much resistant. And in Europe, they have a certain level of trust towards the government. So intervention from the government and working together with government, they have a kind of tendency to do that. So I think maybe it's a difference in approach. So in the case of the UK, I read the news articles. So the neobank, 60% of the mid-sized banks are the neobanks. So Japan, so the Federal Commissions, so regarding the oligopoly, so they have made a proposal to more pushing the neobanks. So I think this may be the similar to Japan. So I think in the opposite, so Southeast Asian countries, so including the India, so maybe Asian region, it's maybe the opposite. So what is the investment trend in Southeast Asian countries? So from the monetary basis, the Southeast Asian countries, so actually the startup fund money is actually exceeding the Japanese funds. So it's growing, and also the smart first digital economy is on. So I think they are attracting a lot of funds in that sense. And we talked about the generative AI at the beginning, and for the past 1 year in Southeast Asia, excluding the Singapore, we don't hear a lot from regarding the AI. And Singapore, they are the developed countries, and they are trying to pursue the technology developing countries. And President is actually talking about they're using the AI, generative AI. However, other countries, so they are kind of hack-driven countries. So the Silicon Valley and Europe, if the new technology is developed, however, they are actually catching up with it. However, there are a lot of social issues and actually phishing right now. So there are a lot of startups to try to solve these issues, and they got. So we are the CBC. So we are looking at the fintech related industries, and financial inclusion is going to be a huge topics. And other people who don't have a bank accounts, and also those people who cannot get any credit and a smartphone, using the smartphones, and also very limited to the people, and preventing the excessive usage of the money, and the access, providing access to the bank, and also protection. So we are trying to strike a balance. So we are not actually looking for the growth, but actually trying to do the kind of take a steady steps. Yes. As Saito-san mentioned, that you talked about a kind of defensive part and also the governance part. And MUIP areas. So this is a hot topics like financial inclusion, including the international situation. There are some things that is related to the regulations, and you are in the areas of VC. So for the investment targets, so governance of the regulations, so a kind of adaptation towards these regulations. And is there any way that they are able to exert their values, or if there is any, the issues, a sense of issues for the governance? I think this is a very big topic, and there are a lot of different countries in Southeast Asia, and I would like to pick up Indonesia, one of the biggest ones, and also there is a finance the regulators in Indonesia. And they have a strong intervention into the government, and also they are actually changing the policies very quickly. So this is the situation of the market, and we really need to be careful about the communication with the authorities. And Indonesia fintech founders, they are very much sophisticated, and keyword is ecosystem, Migame Zoku. and the founder receives a very high education in overseas and coming back. And so the basically, they understand the governance trends in the U.S. and Europe. So in the U.S. and Europe, so this is maybe the trend, and they're actually forcing the future and trying to, set up an association like a fintech and trying to do the self-regulations. However, compared to the self-regulation, like and there are some of the companies who are doing the wrong things and attracting the attention from the authority, and the strict regulations are imposed, and the fintech association and trying to do the lobbying activities and trying to negotiate with them.
Thank you. So, Saito-san, I think you mentioned FTX. With regard to FTX, this is a result of financial agency has established restriction or regulation. So that goes to the show Japan the regulation is in place in Japan in this sense. But what you said is without government's regulation, how they are doing and how they can be sustainable. That's what you were saying, right? So as Saito-san, now I'm moving on to you. What do you think? So FTX. So with regard to virtual currency, I think Japanese financial agency was quite quick to act, and the users has to register themselves, and they have, in terms of contacts or code of conduct has been established as well. So I was in Silicon Valley, and then I was amazed how fast Japanese financial agency moved. So VC is challenged at the moment, and we call this follow-on investment. And when you start working with startup company, when the startup company became in a phase 2, we need to keep providing support, and we cannot just draw up as for board meeting. And VC, it will be there. Of course, the CEO has power. However, VC from outsider, and VC is an advisor, and they are challenged if they have disability or not. So who is paying money? Who is gaining the funding? It's not the question, but in the case of OpenAI startup company, if they became listed company, still we have to be there. And in the backside, we will continuously providing support for them. That's what we need. And then so that's how the external governance would work. So Hara-san, what do you think? Well, like Saito-san said, we are challenged. We are now tested. In Europe, they have high, strict governance requirements for VC. It's not for startup company, but it's a regulation side. So we are independent of VC, and there are CVC as well. What we do is, take some money from people, and then we operate with them. So of course they have to have some kind of strict regulation. But for instance, in UK, license is the absolutely requirement, and the individual license are advised to as well. So for myself, I would have to go to the seminar for compliance or anti-bribery training. Otherwise, I can't extend my license. And sustainable financial closure statement. So when you invest to climate tech or some company, then so this investment is all linked with this regulations and compliance. So if we were good at raising a fund, then we can provide support for startup company. So governance for us has to be there. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so time is clicking. Let's move on to next agenda. So, how do Japan look like for overseas? And what is the potential expectation issue for the Osaka startup? Saito-san, do you want to start? Yes. Well, from outside, Japanese startup amongst United States, they're talking about possibility to invest in Japanese startup, and quite often actually. And if there's opportunity, good opportunity, they are not. They are willing to do so. However, do they have enough information to do so? I don't think so. So, of course, we have to see the truth of the things. Or, for instance, stock option system is different, and in some cases, BC has obtained more money than they should do. So this system, in terms of the system, probably this different system gap is stopping U.S. investor to reach out Japanese startup. So we don't have to, lower our level to make matching. That's not what I'm saying. However, probably knowledge level has to be enhanced. So, for instance, through academia or through other organization, maybe we have to start, promote this type of activity. And from Japan, we have to create more success cases to show off to the world. So this is a small step to take, but we have to do it. And increasing the number of unicorn company, this target. So we have potential unicorn, many of them, and the size of the pie. So it's not really helping us to have good cycle. So that's something startup company has to think about before they do anything. And then we are the position, we have to provide right information. So you mentioned something about training and the bottom-up things. I myself, I think I see correlation between startup and this learning things. You mean training, learning? Yeah? Yeah, in the case of Finland, they at the elementary school level, they start teaching kids about entrepreneurships. And then so it's good to be different. That's what they taught. So that's the culture we need to adopt. However, I don't see Japan as a negative country. For EU, about 10 years ago, Skype has appeared to the stage, and then the system expanded. And so if we have only one star company like that, then that would be a game changer. But starting company takes lots of energies, and to operate the start company you started is further takes further energy. So the training system or education system to support this type of activity is quite necessary. I think I heard the interview. You said, I like Japan, so that's why I want to get out of it. So I admire for you to saying that. So Hiroto-san, from your viewpoint, training, education, yes. And then the term of Osaka was included in this session, right? So you can work anywhere on this globe. So that goes to starting up company. But if you want to do it in Japan, then in Osaka, then you would have to sort of take advantage from starting up from Osaka. So that's the mindset you need. I recommend to have this mindset. So ecosystem, we say ecosystem a lot. So that incorporates company, corporation, staff member, employees. So in case of Osaka, in Osaka, we have cluster of company who has long history like pharmaceutical manufacturing. And so probably you want to hook up those company. And Osaka is quite unique. And then lots of people are looking at Kansai with interest. And what we are lacking is a people fund. And so this type of problem can be solved. And that would be the good opportunity for a startup from Kansai can become global. I think we have 25 seconds left. Right, okay, it's time to close up this session. But let me say something. Right. So Silicon Valley and Stanford. So these are seeding places for innovation, right? And this is something you said, Sohara-san. So you have to take this as an opportunity for educate your kids. And if Osaka became the hub for this type of education system, then the people will flock to come to Japan, Osaka. So I wanted to say something, but do you want to leave the last word? No? Okay? Right, okay, so this is the end of our session. So unfortunately we didn't have time for QA. So if you want to ask more questions, myself or the staff around here, maybe they can arrange something. Thank you very much.